Okay, so we are now recording. So this is Marketing Moving Forward with Jack Derby, who is joining us today. And I just wanted to say that these calls have gotten sponsorship from the town of Wilmington and Dover. So we thank them for giving us support to be able to do this. And the Wilmington Works and the Southern Vermont Chamber are working together as well to get this marketed to everybody in our whole group. So it's been a really great chance through this. I have to say one thing, silver lining department, is that we've really been working well as a team throughout our entire region. And we hope that that will continue as we go forward. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jack. Take it away. And we're going to try and wrap up around 10 o'clock to be cognizant of people's time. So we'll let Jack get started. Welcome, Jack. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks very much. I'm here in downtown Winhall, Vermont, about a mile off from the little town of Winhall, population 647. I've had the privilege of being a Vermonter for a long time, although I now live in New Hampshire because my wife wants to live on the beach. I've lived in this valley. My family has lived in this valley for generations, so I love Vermont. Perhaps the most important slide is this slide, because down in the left-hand corner, you see my cell number and my email address. And I would suggest, we're going to have a discussion. I'm going to give you an outline for that. But at any time, just email me, text me, and I'm happy to set up individual calls. And it's easy for me because, quite frankly, my offices tend to be in Vermont, Boston, and New Hampshire. And I found that over the last 60 days, I've gained about 3.5 hours every day because I'm not commuting. And so call me, talk to me at any time. So if we realize that this environment of selling and marketing has been getting more different, maybe more difficult, maybe easier. If you thought it was hard before, it's going to be extraordinarily complex now. And my comment to you this morning is to simplify things, because it could be a lot worse. We haven't seen the end of the epidemic. There will be a second round. The jobs will be the jobs. And this situation will go on for at least the next year. So what we're trying to do is create simple, and it really is simple when you think about it, a simple path between I want to think about going away and buying something, and I want to get to a purchase. You've heard this term, the new normal, right? Charlie, you've heard the term? Karina, Andrea, you've heard the term, the new normal? There is no such thing. So I have the luxury of dealing with a wide variety of businesses. Small businesses, tiny businesses, startups from, I'm a professor at Tufts, startups from my students, large businesses. We do the stuff for everybody from the police department to Fidelity to tiny companies. And I would tell you, there is no new normal yet. And so the issue here is, how do I get between me and the customers? One suggestion I have, I'm going to go through 6 ideas for you and then stop presenting, and I want to hear questions from you. First thing I would do is, let's not worry about what the fall is going to be like. Your focus now should be for the next 60 days. And I'm going to introduce the thought process, which sounds simple, but it isn't. What's the one simple thing about Andrea's business? Or what's the one simple thing about Charlie's business? And what you need to focus on is that one simple thing that you're going to market and that you're going to focus on between now and the end of the summer. I would tell you, as a student of marketing, I've been teaching marketing forever. I didn't grow up as a marketing or a salesperson. I grew up running companies, manufacturing, engineering stuff. So I'm still a student. I just happen to be able to teach this stuff and involve myself at Tufts and MIT. But I would tell you, what's happened over the last year, forget about now, is marketing has changed forever. And so what's now happening is a very short shelf life. Whereas before, I would have customers that hopefully were, satisfied and had good customer success. Today, they're very vocal. digital is essential to my business. It's no longer a, well, let me play around with this between outbound marketing and inbound marketing. I'm going to define those terms in a minute. But it's absolutely the way. And the question becomes, and the one simple thing that you got to think about, what do I need to do to be imperative? Not just nice, not just competitive, but imperative. And so, it's really a simple word. It's not simple to do this, but you really need to think about that word this weekend as what does it mean to be imperative to the customers? This is not something that I have the opportunity to convince people anymore. Well, they're going to make the decisions about what they want to do, and they're going to measure that by the value that they get out of this. So a trick question, which I'm sure all of the resort people already have answered. I'm going to ask you that in a little while. What's the value that you provide today at your hotels or your tourist locations, or even considering what Wilmington is, what's the value that you really provide? Einstein comment, bottom of the pyramid, make everything as simple as possible. So you hear this consistent theme of mine in simplicity, the one simple thing. And your job in your marketing stuff is to take all of these things that are in your brochures, all of these things that are on your website, and make a few of them, very few, imperative. And that becomes then the definition of your one simple thing. So what's the one simple thing, Charlie, about your business? Hypothetical, but I'm going to come back and start with you, Charlie, in a couple of minutes. What's that one simple thing that's in your business? What you're trying to do here is define that, because if you don't, somebody's going to define that for you. So already, we're 5 minutes into this, you've made a definition of Jack Derby. Maybe you looked at my LinkedIn, maybe you looked at what had Megan sent out, but you've already made a definition of who I am. You've made a perception of what's the one simple thing about Jack. So what you're doing here is you're promising in your resorts or in your products or in your women's wear boutique what those things are. I'm going to give you 6 best practices that I've been thinking about over the last 90 days. And again, I go back to there is no new normal. I was on one of these webinars at Partners Healthcare in Massachusetts, and they began with the fact that said in January, 1% of our patient-physician relationships were online. And today that's 86%. And the comment was then made, and we're never going back. So I would, as you market yourself, you're not out to sell things. You've got to be very empathetic because you don't know if those individuals who are coming to Wilmington are escaping there because they've had a death in the family or the stress has gotten to be much. So this is a job different from before. You can't oversell this. I'm having that issue this week with one of our companies in Boston. And your job is really to listen very carefully. You start out that conversation in marketing with empathy. You ask about second best practice. What are the assumptions that you're making for the summer? Are you making assumptions as to old customers, and I'll forget about new customers? Are you talking about what tactics you could use now? One of the people coming on said that they had gotten a approval of some monies coming in. Okay, cool. Well, what are you going to do for that? And so is there one new product? Or is there one new service which is different that fit this time? So then you need to figure out what's the math to get to the marketing. All of you growing up, all of you in school, all of you have heard about doing a SWOT. And I'm not suggesting you do a full SWOT here. Strengths, you've got those strengths today in your brand and your product and what money you have or don't have. I'm not asking you to do. What I'm asking you to think about is what are the 1, 2, or 3, you got to prioritize those opportunities you could take advantage over June, July, and August. The threats are the obvious. Don't even waste any time there. You can't control them anyhow. The threats are the virus, the threats are unemployment, the threats are craziness in Wall Street. Um, what's the opportunity? And I would ask you to think about this weekend, just a simple SWOT. It's a very simple marketing tool. It's the simplest and yet, quite frankly, the most practical. What's the number one, number two, number three opportunity? And that's where you want to focus everything. I would ask you to think about not strategy. I'm sure nobody's doing that. And already you can see my hands at the top of the pyramid or the top rung of a ladder, strategy stuff. Forget about strategy. Bring it down to tactics. It's important. The real key now is to bring it down to ground zero, the bottom rung on a ladder. What are the activities that you're going to do? You got limited time, limited money. I don't care how big or small you are. No company has enough marketing money. We deal with Steinway, for example. The complaint I hear all the time is we don't have enough money. So it comes down to activities on the street. So let's take a look at the left side of this thing. This is Jack's interpretation of marketing. Forget about the complexity of it. Except in the top two circles, awareness and education. So the question becomes today in any of your businesses, on the right-hand side, I told you I'd talk about these two categories. So today we talk about inbound marketing, and it's permission-based. It's things that you're already doing, I hope. And it's the things that build the largest community today and are almost no cost. So doing blogs. Let me ask right now, any of you, how many of you do a weekly blog? And take yourself off mute. There are about 10 of us here. Anybody?
We do, this is Charlie. We do a monthly, and then we send out offers once a month too. So maybe it's called bi-weekly blog.
Perfect. And I would ask you, Charlie, since you do that, ramp it up to once a week. So the math behind blogs is a lot of math. And if you care about it, I'll send you some stuff. But if you can take that from twice a week to once a week, and I love the fact that you're doing one and the offers with that, because by doing an offer of any kind, you have what we call a CTA, a call to action. See if you can move that up to once a week, Charlie. If you're doing blogs, then you can do social. And Charlie, let me ask you, as long as appreciate you've got that comment, do you do then taking some of that content and reach it out in any social channel?
Yes, my wife does social. We do social media posts probably once a day or once every other day.
Perfect. So the math there is perfect. My point is on the right-hand side is what we call inbound marketing, and it's SEO, search engine optimization, which is a mechanical tool, blog, social media, and of course, bringing people to the heart of your business, which is the site. Extraordinarily low cost. I'm going to give you an idea is if those are foreign words for you, how you might get to where Charlie is. So doing social once a day, absolutely. I've asked him if he could bring his blogs up to once a week. I'm sure he can. On the left-hand side of this is what we grew up with. It's what I grew up with. And all of those things. I'm not suggesting you shoot all of those things and do something, but you've got to choose very, very carefully. Nobody cares about printed ads today. They may have cared about it back in the old days in 2019, but today, and we don't have the money for billboards or radio or TV. Trade shows, I talked with Andrea just before we started this, the trade shows, I would say, guys, are gone forever. Conferences, not, but trade shows, email blasts are kind of insulting now when people are in this stressful. So I'm not suggesting forget about outbound marketing, but I would really bring your thought process. And again, focus here is on awareness and education to the top of the funnel. All right. None of us have big sales organizations. Derby Management is been around for 30 years. We're 8 people, and all of us sell or nobody sells. We don't have sales people. But the issue becomes now, math. How do I free up some of your time, Lisa, or Meg's time, or Charlie's time? I'm just looking at names here that I can visibly see quickly. How do I free you up to actually sell stuff? And I would add to this, there are hundreds. So the very good news about Vermont, we have some excellent universities everywhere from St. Michael's to the University of Vermont. And we have these interns who are rising seniors and seniors who are marketing specialists. Their major in college was marketing. They're not getting jobs. So in my department at Tufts, I have about 850 students. I have 32 professors who work in the center. I'm the director of the center. And I would say right now, about 35-ish% of my seniors who had been given jobs have had them taken away. Now, we're just not marketing people, but all of my marketing interns have been put to work, even though they didn't have jobs. So you have these individuals at St. Mike's, at St. Joseph's, at, who am I leaving out? Norwich, University of Vermont. And how you get to them is you call a professor of marketing and say, hey, I'm Charlie Foster, I'm looking for an intern, and who's your best? And you get people who are looking for jobs, because the professors know who is the best and who's the most needy. Do you have to pay them? Sure, but not a lot of money. And I say, sure. I've got a lot of people, my students are saying, I'll take a job for nothing, Jack, I just got to do that. And I say, gee, guys, you know, ask for $10 an hour, for $13 an hour. So it's easy to take these young men and women and bring them up to speed. I'm doing that myself with two of my best interns this summer at a company we started about a year ago. It's 4 people, 5 with me. We have no marketing. These 2 young men in 4 weeks are doing blogging, writing blogs, very complex business, and they're doing a lot of activity. So just think that about as a tactic. That brings us to the last. So God forbid, but Meg in her introduction didn't say, well, Jack's a little bit older. All right, you wouldn't say that, would you, Meg? All right, okay. No. I'm a techie guy, always have been. I love technology to a fault. My wife is also. If you are not comfortable with technology, I'm not asking you to learn everything about it, but I'd like you to become fluent. Now, everybody here is fluent in using Zoom. So whether it's Zoom or GoToMeeting, or if you have to, WebEx, pretty complicated. But this is where you go to work, and this is where your customers live today. And so, you know, on that little picture on the right, God forbid you should look at it, that's all the marketing technology tools that are available today. Literally hundreds and hundreds. I'm suggesting embrace one of them. Really become fluent. Take that language that you know other than English. I'm barely fluent in English, but take that and become absolutely fluent in Zoom, or fluent in your CRM, or whatever it takes you to get to work. So that's it, guys. I just wanted to go through that as an overshoot. What I really like to do is to listen to comments. There are salient things in there that relate to every business. This isn't just focused in on tourism, because there are people on this call who aren't in that business. I believe I understand this business a bit. I'm not fluent in it as you are, but I am fluent in marketing. So, end of conversation. Questions, ideas. And then I think also the in learning, excuse me, in meeting Meg and her team, I think the other very beneficial, very strong benefit you have is the ability to work in this community. This community is different from where I live at Stratton to Manchester. But by working within the community, and those communities are very different than the Rutland community or the Brattleboro community, you have a great opportunity to work with one another and ask questions. And that's why I love the idea of helping you out. I don't get paid for this. I don't want to get paid. I just want you guys to be successful. All right, shut up, Jack. questions,
So
comments.
Jack, if you want to end your screen share, we can go back into a gallery view, which is a little more friendly. Hello, everybody. I can see everybody. So I also just wanted to say, as Jack mentioned, interns, we should reach out to Brattleboro Development Credit Corporation because they do have a paid internship program. So that's something that if people are looking for that help, we've had very good luck with them in the past. So they just collect wonderful young people in our area and make them available. And again, it is a paid internship, but that's where you find that really terrific young person, and it's not very expensive. So it's, you know, we've really had some great luck, and a lot of them are local students coming back for the summer. And we're so glad that they can find interesting, meaningful work, and we sort of keep them plugged into the community. So that's just my plug for the BDCC internship program. I'll touch base with them today to see, I think they're ramping back up. Everyone's been in COVID-19 mode, but anyway, we'll reach out to them. So that was just on that. And anyone else, feel free to, I actually have a question, and I think maybe some people have this question, because we don't do a blog, we do a weekly, it's actually been monthly, but now it's weekly, where we've been sending an email out to our list that's opt-in, opt-out, and reposting that on social media to share information, you know, what's open, what's not, what's changing, how people are doing things differently in the Valley. But should we change that or rework that and do, you know, longer format blogging, things like that? Is that a suggestion? People, I know Bartleby's does an email as well. They do a great email.
So let me simplify words, all right? So again, the tone of this is simplification. So you think about, we've all grown up using newsletters, right? So the center of the universe is your website. We need to bring people there. We can do that through newsletters. We can do that through emails. We can do that through whatever. And at the end of the day, you need to do something consistently. If you're going to do social, it needs to be at least 3, and preferably, as Charlie is doing, once a day. So 5 days, 7, whatever. Blogs. And so really what a blog is a mini website. It is to bring people to that. And the answer to your question, Meg, is ideally, I need a software platform that I can measure all of that. So if I'm sending out an email, or if I'm sending out a blog or a social, and I don't know who looked at it, or did people look at it repeatedly, what we do in our company, and again, we're a tiny company, I've been around for a long time. If Meg looks at a blog, I can track her. I can look at how many times she's looked at it. If she then went to our site, I can do that over here. So it's not blog consistent. It's with anything that is built on our structure. So we have a marketing platform, if you will. There are lots of them. They range between 0 cost and $300 a month. So the key is in tracking, right? So if top of the funnel stuff, awareness and education, if Karina looked at my blog, because now I know who Karina is, kind of, if she looked at the blog a couple of times, I'm going to send her something, not being intrusive, to ask a question. Did that get to your answer, or can I assist? So blog isn't to sell, it is to inform. I think the key takeaway from that is consistency of communication. Once a month is worthless. Get to once a week with your newsletter or blog or whatever. If you want also to learn a lot about blogging, write this down. So we use HubSpot as our marketing platform. It's a 20-year-old tech company. We love it. That's where my, Anna, you're shaking your head like you know the company. So that's where my kids work, whatever. But within their academy, they have incredible information, videos, whatever, all for free. So just go to HubSpot, go to the HubSpot Academy. You want to learn how to blog? I mean, incredible stuff. You don't have to buy HubSpot. If you do want to buy it or talk about it, come back to me. But just a great place. And and it's really, anyways, informative. Okay. Next question, comment. Gretchen, looks like you had a
Hi.
question. Hey, how are you?
Yep, I didn't have a question. I
Okay.
just joined in.
Okay.
Sorry.
Good, good. Charlie, comment, questions, comments. What do you blog about? What do you typically get out, or what do you post every week or every day?
Sorry, I was muted.
Mhm.
Our monthly posts are just part of a series of stuff to do in the valley. We have a series going now of like 1 to 6 posts, and it's a monthly blog that every month is something different. It was leading up to Old Home Week, which got canceled, but yeah, we just do a series of blogs, and then we send out offers once a month. We do normally a schedule of events of what's happening in the area once a month.
All
And then the social media is pictures and, you know, a lot of reshare, stuff like that.
Perfect. All right. I gave you a heads up, Mr. Foster, a little while ago.
I
And
already forgot that.
let's bring it back to the OST of your business. What's the one, and I'm pick on numbers of you, heads up to Anna. I'm going to pick on her next. So what's the one simple thing, Charlie, about your business that you'd like to get out?
I've been thinking about that since you brought it up. I guess it's a hard thing to answer, but the one thing that we concentrate on is excellent customer service and a friendly location.
Cool. Yeah. So I'm going to play around with this, guys, just as an example. The OST is not meant to be simple. Sounds so simple to get to simple, but it isn't. It's hard to get to simple. Anna, what's the one simple thing? What's your business, and what's this one simple thing about your business?
Hi, so I'm the manager of our independent bookstore here in Wilmington. It's called Bartleby's Books. And I would say our one simple thing is relationships. That's what we can provide that's different from what gets provided in other book selling avenues, particularly online.
Cool. Relationships that you, the people in the store, have with your customers?
Exactly, yeah.
And they look to you for what?
They're looking to us to find the right book, the book that really is either, suited to their particular personality or their situation in life or the person who they're buying for, that kind of thing.
So the one simple thing is the expertise and the trust that you have in knowing your customers and bringing them what they want to read.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. We in the book selling world, we call it the right book at the right time.
Okay, one simple thing, right? A lot different in your marketing than what's one simple thing? Relationships. Of course it's relationships. That's like, okay, I'm falling asleep. But now when I come down to that tagline that you just gave, that's the one simple thing. And in marketing this, right, it's the trust that people have in Anna about knowing them and connecting them. What's the one simple thing, Cordelia? Am I pronouncing that correctly, Cordelia?
Cordelia, yes.
Okay, thank you. What's the
one simple thing about my business?
Yeah.
It is, I would say, funky and fun. I don't know, like I have so many things.
That's the issue, though. That's the issue.
I know, I've had problem focusing.
And so in general times, Cordelia, that's okay. In this time, that's not okay. Because people really want to understand the value. Can people come and drive to Wilmington tomorrow? Sure. Now, the question becomes, from your business, what's the one simple value that they're going to take away that's going to, just in Anna's explanation, there's that series of trust and that knowledge that she has. And so, and again, I don't want to drive this to ground here, but I would really suggest that by putting yourself through this, what's that one simple thing, you will have better marketing. All right, other questions? of any kind. Okay, I've bored everybody.
Well, I have a question, because this is something we talk about as a region, as an area, as sort of, right, trying to find Wilmington's one simple thing, or the Deerfield Valley's one simple thing, and
Yeah.
how to talk to people who might want to come here, people who have come here before, who want to come back, you know, and a lot of the things we sort of came up with this idea of sort of being, in some ways, the center of the universe, even though we're this nice little valley that's tucked away, but that from here, you can reach so much, and you can also come here from so many places. So that
Oh.
sort of this hub and spoke idea, but we just haven't found a way to make that clear to people, because I think then we start getting into the, oh, you can go swimming in the lake, you can go shopping in our downtown, you can go up and go mountain biking at Mount Snow, so that you start spinning out immediately into like all the things. And so, and this is something that sort of helps all of us, because if we're all marketing our region as a chamber, as a downtown organization, we're trying to say, why come here? You know,
Yeah.
so why stay in the Mountaineer Inn? Why stay at Charlie's or Karina's place? Why come here? And so how do you, that's something we wrestle with. And I think it's important for all of us to think about that together, so we can send that message out as a unified whole throughout all our
Right.
businesses.
So it used to be that the hub and spoke model worked very well, whether that's in Wilmington, whether that's in Brattleboro, whether that's in Stratton, you could tell that story. When you think about what the one simple thing of Manchester used to be, it would be high-end retail stores that are outlets. The one simple thing, unfortunately, about Manchester today is closed stores. And nobody wants to go to Manchester. Not because the people have changed, but it's depressing, okay? So they've lost that one simple thing. So come back to Wilmington, just narrow the spokes. And the question becomes, guys, to what degree can you market safety? What degree can you market? I want to be able to come to a place that understands I'm not looking for cheap rates. Of course, I need to think about costs. I'm looking for a friendly, safe, healthy environment that understands the problems of this terrible virus, which isn't going away for the next year. I don't care what you think, ain't going away. We'll be lucky if we're vaccinated a year from now. And so the question becomes, if I need to get out of the city, if I need to get out of this stress, even though my dollars may have been reduced more, I have crossed my field. I'm looking out at I have a new neighbor. I've never really met him before, except he moved here with his whole family from New York. And yeah, they quarantined themselves for 14 days. He moved here at the beginning of February, has no intention of going back until there is a proven vaccine.
Oh,
So bless you. So
thank
the
you.
question becomes, how can you in this, and I purposely use this word as a positive, not as a negative. How can we in this tiny community, so that's a good thing, have these spokes, and we're a community that's focused on health, safety, and caring about your health and whatever. And we as a community practice social distancing. I mean, the massive problem in Boston, and I went into what I call the belly of the beast for only the third time 2 days ago. I haven't been to my office in Boston since the beginning of March. And I was scared, right? I wasn't scared because of the protests, that was bad enough. But I was very careful. So now I come to Wilmington, this community that is focused on safety, that is focused on and knows about. And it is, you know, I'm marketing safety today. I'm marketing good health. I don't know. Ned, what do you think about that? Is that a viable marketing strategy to talk about as a community and individually?
Do you have any comments on that? Well, yes,
My husband is Ned. He's sitting over in
I'm
the
sitting over
corner.
here in the corner. Wait a minute, let me get over here. Wait.
Okay, there he is. There he is.
Yes, I think that's a viable strategy. I can imagine right now. I lived in Manhattan for 25 years before we bought up here 25 years ago.
God love him.
Still have, I don't know, several thousand friends who live in New York City, and we go down there all the time to visit with them, and they're all fleeing the city. Many of them have, summer homes already in the Hamptons, in upstate New York, in the Poconos, up here in Vermont. And those that have the option have fled. And particularly now with your ability to work from home,
Mhm.
and many of them are working from home.
Second.
I'm saying the concept of working from home. That means they can work from just about anywhere they can go.
Mhm.
And so I think now is a very opportune time to market with that objective in mind. If you're looking for a place to spend your summer, come to Wilmington, come to the Deerfield Valley. It's safe up here. It's a healthy environment. Vermont has one of the very lowest infection rates
Absolutely.
in the entire United States.
Yeah.
And, if you follow the rules, social distancing, wear your mask, all that good stuff, you can come up here, spend your summer, and be very safe, and you can continue to work. Instead of from home, you're working from here.
So with that marketing message interpreted by each of our businesses, what I want to say, broadcast by Wilmington Works, does that somehow differentiate us? I was on the phone with my wife Jan this morning, and I left there last night, and they're being Rye Beach, New Hampshire. And we've gone through the same no allowance on the beaches and whatever. And now they have opened the beaches up to active beaching or something, meaning you can't sit on the beach. You can't put towels down. You can't, we'll see how long that. And I said to her this morning, and I said, gee, I'm planning on being here, half of the weeks between now and the end of the summer. Well, aren't you going to go out on the beach with me? And I said, yeah, sure. In the morning when I'm there, you and me, but I'm just not going on the beach. It's just a question. So can I feel freer in Vermont? Sure. Do I still mask and glove up when I go down to the general store? Sure. So I'm not suggesting that is the one simple thing about Wilmington Works, but if it were a thread that everybody were to pick up on, could we market to that a bit? Now, in addition to our product, and in addition to our bookstore, in addition to our boutique, and in addition to our clothes and accessories. All right. Other comments, questions? I want to make sure that we're okay on time here, Meg.
Yeah, we are good. I wonder if some of our lodging businesses, some of the questions we have, for lodging businesses, obviously, hopefully, we're going to open up a little more to allow people who can say they've quarantined other places first to come here and stay, because right now, who can stay? But part of what we need to look for is kind of, maybe if you've, right, I know Ned and Royal and Karina, you guys often have groups that come, right, to sort of be together as a group. Well, how does that feel from your groups? Is that something you can do, or do we have to look for new people? And how do we find who are the new people who might want to come here? And then how do we speak to them? So that's just something that we thought of, like trying to, now is this a good time to look for new people, or do we just broadcast our message and hope they come to us? That's the question. It's a big question, right? Do we make the message and hope they come, or do we really seek them out and tailor our message to who we think would be a new audience?
Comments?
Well, let me just say, Karina and I, we do very similar business. We have for years and years and years. She has a much stronger summer business now. That we used to have a very, very strong summer business because we used to do Elder Hostel, which is now Rhodes Scholar, and we used to do 26 weeks of that. And we stopped doing that several years ago. We decided we didn't want to do that anymore. But both of us have extremely strong winter business. And for us personally, we have a lot of groups in the winter and then some groups in the summer. So right now, personally, I feel like our summer's set. The groups that we have on the books, and all groups book about a year in advance. So whatever marketing you're going to do today, a group isn't going to show up in August. You know, groups set their calendars a year in advance. Do you agree, Karina? Pretty much that the groups set their calendars about a year in advance. You just don't pick up a group, 2 weeks from now. So, and personally, I'm not really looking for a lot of individual travelers this summer because I don't know where they've been. I can't talk with the groups. I can talk to the group leader and say, I want you to do this with your group before you get here. I want you to make sure they've been healthy. I want to make sure you know where they've been, et cetera, and put some onus on them to watch out for their, the people that are coming, and then we do our job when they get here. So I'm sort of dividing, seeing just to get through the summer, looking, hopefully fall will look a little more normal. But again, so I'm worried about the winter now.
Yeah.
I'm worried about what the winter's going to bring. And and like Karina, we both have extremely loyal customer base, a guest base.
Yep.
And they do, families come, groups come, individual guests come year after year after year. And that's where my big, worry is that if things aren't closer to, whatever makes a person feel comfortable, the guests, meaning, are they comfortable if they found some medicines? Are they only going to come if there's a vaccine developed? Are they going to stay away from whatever? Have they lost their jobs? So I see my winter mix being a bigger challenge than the immediate summer.
So I understand that, and I certainly understand groups. I work with a resort here that, and then Karina, you've got a comment. I work with a resort here that when this hit, we had immediately within a week, all 36 weddings canceled. And so there are no weddings at this particular resort in this valley. So what's going to be the winter? What's going to be the fall? I go back to what I said about assumptions. My assumption, but that's Jack. My assumption, there will not be a vaccine before this time next year that is widely deployed, widely available. The chaos of the impact of a second wave will absolutely hit us in the fall. So does that impact my thoughts about the fall? Sure. And totally respect your comments about my focus now is on the fall. I don't think the fall is going to be it can't be any better. But Karina, you had a comment. Karina, you had a comment.
So yeah, I mean, I am not particularly concerned about my groups that I'm working with. I have a group that's coming in 4th of July weekend. I can talk to them personally and make sure that they are going to be comfortable here. However, I have no control over the fact that Rhodes Scholar has canceled June, July, might be canceling August. I have no control over Vail Resorts. They have not yet opened Mount Snow Golf Course, and things like that has a huge impact. I was worried about that our lake was not going to open up this summer, which I have no control over. Those things concern me, and I'm worried about what Vail Resort is doing, and I have no control over that at all.
Right.
I can control my own. I can control how I talk to my guests. That's the easy part.
And my guess is, Karina, I don't certainly know about what Vail Resort is, but I certainly know a lot about the ownership at Stratton. And I sat on the board of Stratton for a long time. I created the Stratton Mountain Club along with the president of Stratton, 15 years ago. My guess is they haven't figured it out. So I have the privilege of teaching at a couple of big universities. And this is a positive comment. But if you ask me, Jack, when are you going back to school? I don't know. It'll probably be the middle of August. It'll definitely be all classes in by Thanksgiving. But I don't know. So my guess is Vail has not figured it out. Because
Correct.
there's just so many machinations of that, which brings us back to us. So what are you going to, what's that one simple thing for the Valley, for Wilmington Works, for each of us? And I've got to market the blazes out of that. I cut somebody off and they had a comment.
I was just going to say about Vail is that all the innkeepers and everything, over the years, we've known the owners of Mount Snow or the people at the top or whatever, and that's all changed now. So for the first time in 27 years, I feel like I barely know anybody at the top that we can go to and ask questions. I don't even know who's running the show. It's some woman that's coming over from Lake Sunapee or something, but you know, there's been no, as far as I know, there have been no introductions or any, you know, usually when a new owner comes to town, and how many we've been through now? Four. You know, they invite the whole community in, say, hi, we're here are our plans. You know, I mean, the most previous owner made it very clear they had no intention of marketing the summer, and they lived up to that. They did nothing for the summer business in this valley. And so, but we have no idea what their Vail's strategy is. There's been no introductions, nothing. So that's why, you know, and of course now we see the situation, so it makes it even probably a little harder.
So again, I don't know the Vail people.
Can I just
please go ahead, Gretchen.
So I was on the Bytown Economic Development Committee meeting this morning, and Tracy Bartles, she's the new general manager there at Mount Snow, and she was on the Zoom call. And, you know, she had indicated that they will be doing an announcement next week about what is opening and when. She has bought a house here. So, you know, I think that she's here for the long haul. She wants to be, you know, working with the community. I think that's a good thing. And, you know, I think this COVID-19 has really been a real issue in getting her out and about to meet people. So I think, you know, we need to kind of like give them a little bit of a breather on that piece. But also she indicated how Vail, their number one top priority is safety. And they, you know, other mountains, of course, are opening and they're doing, you know, things, but they want to make sure, you know, and of course they're doing this across the country. It's a much bigger company, and they are being very thoughtful about safety. And, you know, they are going to run the lifts. She did indicate that. I don't know when that will open, but so they are working in putting in place all the safety issues for COVID-19.
Good to hear.
Yep.
Very good to hear. Guys, I'm going to wrap it up by just saying that I'm here for connections. I'm here for one-on-ones. There's obviously no cost to that. Just ping me at any time if you want to talk one-on-one. It'll, you know, I'll get back to you in a day and set something up. But my heart and love has been in this valley, if you will, from Brattleboro up through where my ancestors grew up in Pulteney, and I love Vermont. So if there's anything I can do, Meg, thanks for arranging this, and thanks very much for this morning.
Yeah, thanks so much, everybody, for coming. And I think we can continue this conversation amongst ourselves. I think there's a lot of great things here to think about. So let's continue it sort of, you know, one-on-one and as a group. And if one of the things we've talked about is sort of sharing a message across many channels. So from the chamber to Wilmington Works to the businesses, if we're all kind of covering some of the same things while we do our individual work, I think it really can help create a feeling and just a communal sense of what our valley is. So I think if we have to change that, it's not really any different this summer, that it's a beautiful, bucolic, safe, lovely place to escape to. We just maybe have to retool it a little bit, the message a little bit. So
Yep, retool it a little bit, bring it down to the OST, market the places out of that, start blogging, start social, and just experiment. All right, guys, thanks very much. Appreciate your
thanks so
time.
much, Jack.
Thank you, Megs, for working this. Thanks very much, guys.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. And I will, we'll be putting out words on upcoming things. So we'll continue these conversations, and we'll see you soon.